Hello and welcome to my video project about TU106 Project 2, which is the creativity project. My name is Willi-wang ID at the top here, and this is my finished project. You might not be able to see it, but this is it. All of these papers. It's a lot of papers, and just showing it would take a long time, so I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna place it here. I decided to write a story since I'm bad at everything else, and this was the easiest way for me to use my creativity in a creative way. I wrote a story about this boy. Not this boy. This teenage boy who wants to save his sister. I chose this theme because people can relate to it a lot. As you know, wanting to save your loved ones or family is something all humans want to do. So this was the motivation. The story is a fantasy story. So basically that means that it is not in our world, and that magic or whatever the creator wanted to put into it exists. For me, that would be magic. Magic, creatures and dragons. I love medieval stories about heroes that slay dragons and stuff like that. And demons, apparently, which my story has. I chose this because fantasy, for me, is a lot more exciting than boring old non-fantasy. Nothing against old boring non-fantasy, it's just that I feel that the real world we live in, we live in that a lot. And sometimes seeing other worlds and other stories is more refreshing. And I personally like writing stories like that a lot more. This here is my workspace. I typed the whole story into my computer using this keyboard. But before that, before I started writing all of this, I had to think about where I wanted the story to go, what each of the characters would look like, and how they would interact with each other. Now, some writers, they go and make the story first, or they create the place, they make a map, they make the characters first before making actually the whole story plot. I myself made the map first before I wrote, or I had a vague idea of what I wanted to do. But having a map helps a lot when you make stories, for me at least. I used what they call the snowflake method. You might have heard about it, but it's the way where you make a story. Like at first, you start out small, you make a one-sentence summary of the whole story, but then as you go on, you start to expand out and make it more detailed. Like the next step would be to, instead of making that one sentence, you make it a paragraph, and then you would make that paragraph into 4 paragraphs, and then those 4 paragraphs you would make into 1 page each, explaining the story. And this could help you a lot while you're writing the story, because you would have a clear idea of where to go and what your characters would be doing. For this, I used a notebook. I used the book to write my ideas into it. So as you could see, I wrote all of this here, and then like the characters here would be like expanding the paragraph I made before that, and here would be like expanding the whole this other paragraph. I made the story. At first, I was just thinking about how I would make the character an accidental hero, according to what my teacher said. But after writing the story for a bit, I put that in the back burner and decided to write the story first. we go to many towns in the city, and the heroes. Okay, I'm just gonna explain the story a bit. So at first, the main character named Fenrir, he goes to Fandor, the place where the story happens, and he wants to find an artifact for his sister because their family lives in poverty, so they can't afford a doctor, and Fenrir wouldn't be able to make enough money to get a good doctor. So what he instead did is he went to Fandor in hopes of finding an artifact that could heal his sister. That's basically the story plot. And once he goes there, he meets many other characters which he will interact with in the story if you read it. With that done, I wanted to show you a time lapse of my writing, because according to the guidelines we need to have a showing that we did the work ourselves. So here's like a minute of me writing on the keyboard. With that said, I want to thank you for watching this video, reading my story, and reading my essay. Goodbye, and thank you.